Hey, my name is Emily, and today I'll be speaking about the Federal Reserve monetary policy. It is inarguable that we live in a capital society where almost everything is monetized, and consumerism is perceived as the source of happiness. Therefore, when the pandemic hit, threatening our livelihood and jobs, a bigger crisis was looming. Therefore, the government, through the Federal Reserve, had to make significant changes to its monetary policy to accommodate and adapt to this new situation. This presentation's purpose is to explore in how lowering the Federal Reserve's rate helps mitigate in financial implications of the pandemic. Similar to many institutions, the Federal Reserve came to the realization of the difficulties in obtaining its target rate. The federal funds rate is arguably the most pertinent rate in the country's economy, given its ability to influence and impact monetary and financial conditions. The dynamic of federal rate funds necessitate banks to reserve a specific percentage of their daily deposits in a Federal Reserve each day. Banks that have access after meeting their target rates give money to banks that are unable to meet this target. Therefore, one of the changes made in a monetary policy was to lower the target range of the federal funds rate. They changed this rate from 0 to 0.225%. Therefore, increasing the target infers that fewer banks are able to meet this target. Therefore, necessitates the banks to charge higher interest rates in their clients in their attempt to meet this target. However, when this rate is decreased, it infers that the bank has sufficient and in some cases excess cash to loan out to its clients at a lower rate. This also lowers the overall services provided by the bank. The economic environment during the pandemic was immensely impacted by the coronavirus, given that this disrupted day-to-day activities of the majority of the citizens. With the inflation rate having immensely threats arising due to the closure of businesses and increased unemployment rates, the decrease to address this concern. High employment rates infers that the government is unable to realize its full economic development capability. This is because it is unable to utilize the potential of this unemployed population, leading to lower outputs. Unemployment also causes a ripple effect in the economy. Given that the lack of income by this population interprets that they are unable to purchase goods and services, which negatively affects other sectors of the economy and may eventually lead to unemployment in these sectors. Therefore, lowering the federal funding rate allows the individuals who lost their jobs during the pandemic to take loans from the bank at a lower interest rate to sustain them as the world waits for a solution to this pandemic. Through this, the country is able to maintain the purchasing power of the unemployed individuals and stability in the sectors that faced contractions due to decline in demand for their goods and services. It is perceivable that most businesses and organizations have a higher credit score based on their number of assets. Therefore, their interest rates on loans are determined by the prime interest rate, which is directly impacted by the federal funds. Lowering the federal funds allows the banks to decrease the prime rates offered to most businesses. The unforeseeable aspects of this pandemic was overwhelming to majority of the business, requiring the businesses to source extra resources in order to adapt to the rampage change. The pandemic necessitated profound changes in business, while some businesses required to conduct an absolute change altogether. Therefore, the decrease in federal fund rate and the executive prime rate providing funding to the funding through low interest rates allows them to transition and adapt to a new environment. This also mitigated the increase in unemployment rate, which was attributed to the closure of businesses that lacked the resources to keep them, changes attributed to the pandemic. In conclusion, the pandemic necessitated the majority of the people to stay at home and avoid increased physical contact and gatherings. This immensely affected the working environment of many sectors around the country, which led to the indefinite closure to comply with these guidelines. Therefore, the economy was greatly disrupted, given that the majority of the people had to stay at home, requiring the government to undertake initiatives that not only help mitigate the risk, but allow for the country to go through easy recovery. Thank you for joining.